Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to today's subject Yamato. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their designs. Please do keep in mind that everything I talk about is subject to change at a later date, as that is just the nature with covering a game like Deadlock that is still actively in development. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself and don't already have access for a previous video of mine, I shall throw my Steam name up on screen, and all you need to do is subscribe, add me as a friend, and then I'll send you a code. Bad plug I know, but that's besides the point. Please keep in mind as well that it takes about 1 to 2 days, maybe longer, for a code to come through, so please do just be patient. But with all of that said, as I just mentioned a moment ago, our object of obsession for today is a relic of the past, that being none other than Yamato. Now, as I like to do in every single one of these videos thus far, I'd like to start by discussing Yamato's lore, as well as some little tidbits about her and personality and character interactions, all of that lovely usual stuff. And, as I also usually do, I'd like to start by reading off her in-game background. But before I do, I just want to note that in-game, if you go check out in-game background, the entire thing is in Japanese. Yeah, I don't know anything that I'm reading when it says in Japanese, but thank the heavens that the Deadlock wiki has a translated version of her background. Otherwise, I would be here struggling and using Google Translate, and as we know, Google Translate isn't always the best source of translations. It's not usually the most accurate. But yeah, again, thank God the Deadlock wiki has a translated version of this background, because said background reads as such. Born to criminal royalty, Kaori and her brother Yamato always knew they were destined to run the 7th moon after their father's passing. For years they ran the organization as equals, leading to profit, success, and plans for expansion to the United States. The idea was simple. Kaori would stay in Japan and maintain things at home, while Yamato would travel to America to set up an international presence. Unfortunately for the siblings, this plan didn't sit well with some of their more insecure underlings, who bristled at the idea of being led by Kaori in Japan. The coup was swift and violent. Yamato gave his life protecting Kaori, but in doing so ensured that she and a handful of loyalists were able to escape Japan for America. When she arrived stateside, the contact her brother was supposed to meet greeted her and her retinue. Unfamiliar with the gender of Japanese names, the man addressed her as Yamato. She thought to correct him, but decided that the best way to keep her brother's memory alive was to take his name and live out his dream. Yeah, fun fact, Yamato's actual name isn't actually Yamato, it's Kaori. That's her brother's name, as I just said, in the background. I feel like that is probably going to get really confusing anytime I have to ever discuss her background, because when I say Yamato, I mean the playable character. Like for the rest of this video, when I say Yamato, I do mean the current character that is in-game that you can play as, not, obviously, her brother. It's kind of weird, because it says, like, for example, in her ultimate, it says that it imbues her power with Yamato's shadow soul, and anyone who hasn't read her background, which I'm going to presume is quite a lot of you, because, you know, it's in full Japanese. I don't really expect many people to know Japanese, unless they, you know, are, or have learnt the language for whatever reason that may be. So, I feel like a lot of people, when they read her ultimate description, see, oh, she becomes infused with her own shadow. Like, no, she becomes infused with her brother's shadow. That's what it's saying, but obviously you wouldn't know that because you may not have read her background. So yeah, when I say Yamato, outside of that one instance where I'm talking about her ultimate, I mean the playable character. But anyways, speaking of some other lore tidbits about her, her wish in the ritual is to make the 7th moon powerful enough to take over all of New York. And she also hopes to solidify her brother's legacy, as she is still currently grieving her death. Oh, no, see, look, even I've already messed up. His death, I meant. Funny enough, there is actually a voice line when she kills Rafe, where she says, now I can finally take over New York. Like, Rafe is this, like, final immense hurdle to her being able to do that, which I find quite interesting. I know, like, Rafe owns, you know, a lot of New York City because of, you know, paying out every single like police officer out there and all of her gambling stuff, but it's kind of odd that Yamato sees Wraith as the final hurdle. I don't know who else she would really see as the final hurdle, but that is besides the point. Yamato, for the most part, predominantly speaks Japanese, although she does know how to speak some English. Well, I say some English, I think she just does know how to speak English, and honestly, I can't find a good way to shove in any voice lines for her, because I'm going to be honest, the majority of her voice lines are either she speaks Japanese and the other character doesn't understand her, or she makes a threat. It's one or the other, and just to show, you know, both sides of that coin, I would like to play an interaction between herself and Dynamo, as well as an interaction between herself and Lady Geist.
お前のエゴが招いた結果だ。
I'm going to assume that's a compliment.
It wasn't. I can cut the arm off.
I'm good.
I really don't mind.
I'm sure you don't.
Well, I say threat, but I think the Lady Geist interaction is probably a joke. I don't think she's actually, like, threatening Lady Geist. Not that usually when Lady Geist gets threatened, she usually does kind of talk back a little bit. Like, for example, Viper saying that she wants to mug the shit out of her. Her words, not mine. And in that interaction, like, Lady Geist is quite cocky and says, I'd like to see you try. But when Yamato's like, oh yeah, I can cut the arm off, Lady Geist doesn't really try to push back. She doesn't say, excuse you? Why would I let you cut my arm off? No, she's like, yeah, please don't. Yamato is seemingly quite a scary person. According to other lore tidbits about her, she is a ruthless leader of the 7th moon and leads the organization by example. So yeah, per another interaction with Viper, she apparently murdered someone for owing the 7th moon 100 quid, or $100 for people that understand what I mean when I say quid. So yeah, she is apparently quite a scary person. And I would also like to mention that in that Dynamo interaction, I already threw up, I'm throwing up like translations of what she's saying in Japanese up on the screen, so if you didn't see it, I do apologize, but what she says to Dynamo at the beginning in Japanese is that his ego got him here. That's interesting. That's a very interesting way of looking at his situation. I mean, admittedly, Yamato shouldn't know too much about his situation, right? So why would she say that? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued what she means by that. But besides that, some other tidbits about her is that the sword she uses is a very ancient heirloom. She refuses to elaborate on how old it is to Dynamo, but it's very, very, very old. And because she inherited it when her predecessor died, that being, I presume, Yamato, as in her brother, not herself, someone else will eventually inherit it when she dies as well. And finally, on the lore tidbits before we move on to character interactions, Yamato wishes to make the OSIC and Nashala obey her. Interesting that she says specifically Nashala and not, you know, like the Jinn just as a whole. You would think, you know, making the Jinn obey her would be quite the feat and, you know, something she would strive for, but no, just Nashala, I suppose. Like, when she kills Mirage, she says, maybe I'll make Nashala my servant. Which, I mean, kind of funny, kind of interesting that she wishes to make Nashala obey her, but anyways. Going to character interactions now. As I mentioned earlier, Yamato is commonly described as scary by a lot of characters. A lot of characters kind of freaked out by her, and yeah, as I said, she kind of seems to have this reputation of being incredibly ruthless, incredibly, like, serious all the time, and as a result, she, you know, has killed a lot of people. I mean, as Viper said, Viper knew a person who died because they owed the 7th moon $100. I mean, if you're killing someone over $100, yeah, you're probably a little bit too ruthless. And for the most part, she is cruel and quite antagonistic to other heroes, but due to the fact that the majority of the heroes don't speak Japanese, or actually I don't think any of them speak Japanese currently, that goes unnoticed. And to prove that point, I'm going to play an interaction between herself and Holiday.
まさか警察の犬と協力することになるとはな。
I'm sorry, I don't speak Japanese.
Of course you don't.
Unfortunately, we don't actually know who Yamato's voice actor is currently, because I really want to give her props for that little line at the end where she says, of course you don't. I can almost hear like this kind of smirk lining Yamato's lips as she says it, and I think that's really funny. Like, she's able to mock these people without being able to be understood. And I honestly can't wait for the day where we get a character who does know Japanese in some way, shape or form, and she goes to do, you know, her usual tradition of making fun of someone in Japanese, and then that character, whoever they may be, replies in Japanese, and she's like, oh, whoops, my bad, gang, I just dissed you and you didn't, and you actually understood me, whoopsie daisy. But anyways, speaking of some other character interactions, Yamato has quite high respect for Grey Talon due to his age and skill, and Grey Talon does make a little joke about them being pioneers of the modern age using a bow and a sword. And whenever you kill Moe and Krill, Yamato mentions that she wishes to turn Moe and Krill into a coat and a hat respectively, which is a very funny prospect to me. How would you turn Krill into a hat? I'm really not sure, and I really don't think I want to know. Yamato has to thank Ivy, or does thank Ivy, for taking care of Mendoza. Well, obviously she likes that because, you know, that's one less obstacle she herself has to conquer. But she does also undermine Ivy's skill and says she wishes to take over Spanish Harlem for the 7th moon, which that would be a very interesting fight, at least in my opinion. The only thing is, I think Yamato, like, we're gonna power scale a bit. We're gonna pull out the Dragon Ball book of power scaling, right? I think Yamato might be a little bit stronger than Ivy, just a teeny tiny bit. I'm obviously being very sarcastic, and I actually think she's a lot stronger than Ivy, at least going off of how most people describe her. Pocket, whenever he whenever they kill Yamato, mentions that they would get along well with their mother, which is a interesting idea. We haven't really met Pocket's mother, so I can't really comment on what that may mean, but hey ho. And Great Talon and Warden respect Yamato's conviction to her cause, which, yeah, I kind of understand why them two would be respectful of her cause, especially Warden being so dedicated to his own cause all the time. I mean, he says specifically, you fought with Grace Yamato, but that will only get you so far, which I don't, yeah, I said cause, I meant to say conviction. Did I say conviction? I have no idea what I said. Whoopsies. Anyways, the final little tidbit of character interactions that I can mention is that Lash, Paradox, and Viper want Yamato's sword. Yeah, fair shout, the sword does look, the concept art versions of the swords do look cool, but Lash has a funny line where he says, I can't wait to have that sword hanging above my fireplace, which implies that Lash has a fireplace, and I think that's kind of funny. The idea of him, like, snuggling up in an armchair, sipping coffee, and reading the newspaper in front of a fireplace during a winter morning, you know what? You go, Lash. I respect it immensely. As a character, I do think Yamato is very interesting. I do like that she introduces, obviously, the 7th moon, and introduces this sort of tertiary crime gang. I say tertiary crime gang, because originally I was gonna, how many crime gangs are there? There's a lot, right? You've got Rafe's lot. You have the, obviously, Mendoza Syndicate, which has kind of gone under, but Mendoza is still around, and so he's not like, it's not like he's completely gone. You've got the 7th moon. Like, there's a lot of crime gangs in the Cursed Apple, or New York. The Cursed Apple is the nickname for New York in Deadlock's world, which I always thought was quite neat. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? You introduce I don't want to call them Yakuza. I don't want to call them Yakuza, because they just say, like, a criminal gang. They just say it's a Japanese criminal gang, but usually when someone says Japanese criminal gang, my mind usually jumps to Yakuza, and that is only furthered by the redesigns, or the concept art redesigns that Yamato has had proposed for her. So I don't want to call it Yakuza, but my inner Yakuza fan is kind of screaming out to call them the Yakuza. Take a shot every time I say Yakuza. Don't actually. I would much prefer you didn't. But yeah, I think Yamato is quite an interesting character. I just kind of, again, as I said, she's kind of a bit of a relic of the past, and the only thing that is kind of quote-unquote up to date would be her lore. Because, I mean, before, if I remember rightly, I could be wrong, in Neon Prime, which was obviously what Deadlock was before Deadlock, Yamato was an alien that was very, very invested in Japanese culture and samurais and the such. Which, by the way, is why she looks as she does now. I'll mention that obviously more when we get to design, but yeah, that's the reason she has that enormous forehead, is because she is, well, or was in Neon Prime, an alien. But anyways, with all of that said, and my can I say high sung praises? I do like her. I do like her lore. I think it's very interesting. But yeah, my praise is done and dusted. I'd like to now moving on to talking about her gameplay and her abilities. Please do keep in mind for this section I use OBS to record my audio and gameplay simultaneously, so if I sound slightly different I do apologise in advance. But with all of that done and dusted, we're now going to talk about her gameplay and her abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Yamato's gameplay. And as always, let us start by talking about her weapon known as, if it wants to load, that is not Yamato. Sister's Lament, which, interesting, it's called Sister's Lament because obviously in the icon it shows the sword and that would make sense for why it's called Sister's Lament, but her actual weapon, which by the way, its ammo scales with spirit, which I actually had apparently, okay, that it scales with spirit, excuse you. Ammo scales with spirit, there you go. Fun thing, new things every day. Either way, it's called Sister's Lament, but the actual weapon is these? I don't know what these are. I really don't know. Kunais? Shurikens? Something. She throws something out of her wrist that does stuff. Either way, this is kind of like a... I want to call it like a shotgun, almost. It's got like a, like small spread pattern. It's got surprisingly decent range, all things considered, and only now do I realize I didn't turn on no cooldown and the such. Actually, no, I lied. It's got terrible range. This thing sucks at long range. I'm going to be completely real with you. This weapon is very good at close range, and you know what? That describes Yamato's entire kit, for the most part. Yamato, at least in my experience, is a bit of a bruiser. Like the sort of character that kind of wants to just, pardon me, fly headfirst into the enemies, do a bunch of damage, and then get out. Or if you are under certain circumstances, maybe you want to do a melee Yamato build, maybe you just want to stay in their faces. Yamato is a kind of a weird character. To prepare for this video, I played like 5 odd games as her, and man, I could never really nail down what she's meant to do. I mean, there does exist, of course, gun builds. Gun builds do exist for Yamato. This weapon does allow that. It does very good damage up close. Like, you can see how much damage this is doing. And I should also mention, before I forget, it does actually have an alt fire. So, akin to like Viscous, how Viscous can shoot at the little green blob. Yamato can't aim down sights. She instead throws this thing. I don't even know what these are. They're like bombs. She just throws like these little bombs out. In the laning phase, like the shuriken, I'm going to call them shurikens just for ease of use. The shurikens are quite efficient in the laning phase because they kill the minions quite quickly, and it's quite easy to secure souls because of obviously the spread pattern. But this like alt fire with the little bombs, this can be quite useful. Obviously because it has not like an infinite range, like it does have damage fall off, but it's useful because you can kind of obviously, like, say someone's hiding behind a corner, you can kind of throw it and hit them with the explosion. Or, of course, you can just hit them straight in the face. And, of course, as you can probably tell, I mentioned this in Viscus's video as well, split shot, which, for those that don't know, makes it so you shoot, like, 5 of whatever your projectile is. Split shot does actually affect your alt fire. So now, you can throw, like, 5 explosive bombs of doom. I found immense usefulness in using split shot and the secondary fire in a gun build, because you can literally just walk up to someone, look at the floor, and blow them up, and they will probably die in like 3 hits. It's a very fun ability to use, especially with, obviously, the alt fire. So gun build is a viable thing for Yamato. She can do that, but it doesn't ever feel like the most efficient. A gun, this shuriken thing is like kind of awkward to use. Sometimes it feels like it just doesn't hit people, and I think the reason for that is because, well, each individual, like, because most characters with like their shotgun-esque weapons, the spreads are so close together that if you like miss a few pellets, it doesn't really matter. But as you can see here, if I hit this guy full on in the chest, 26, if I hit him with like a single one, it only does 5. Like, each pellet actually has an individual damage count, whereas someone like, say, I don't know, Abrams, he kind of just has a flat damage, it feels like, a lot of the time. I don't know. Shuriken sometimes feel like they just don't do damage, and that kind of annoys me. That's why I said, usually when I play gun Yamato, I just kind of run in and throw bombs at people, because this shuriken thing just feels kind of awkward to use. I'm not sure, like, I don't know what my problem with it is, really. I couldn't really explain it. It just feels awkward, and sometimes it just feels like it's not doing enough damage, maybe? I don't know, maybe I just need to, like, play her more and get to terms with how this weapon works. But either way, it's pretty okay. It kind of does what it needs to do. It does good damage up close, and as I said, Yamato kind of excels in up close scenarios. And I guess her first ability doesn't really prove my point, but either way, said first ability is known as Power Slash. It has a 10.5 second cooldown, which is weirdly awkward. Why not just make it 10? I don't know. You charge to increase the damage over 1.4 seconds, and then release a fully charged sword strike. You can press 1 or left mouse button to trigger the strike early, dealing partial damage. At full charge, it does 145 damage, which scales with spirit, and at the slash's length is 25 meters. This ability is in a spirit build, so say for example something like this. This is Yamato's bread and butter. This is the ability that will do all of her damage, and I mean all of it. You will not be doing damage with most of her other stuff, I'm going to be honest with you. Power Slash is going to hit like a freight train. I mean, 145 damage at full charge, just immediately when you get the ability, is very scary. Especially in the laning phase, because as you can see, most characters are going to have around like 600, 700 health. That's like 150 health in a single hit. I mean, even if you like partially charge it, you still do like 80, 100 damage. And to show obviously what the ability looks like, you press 1, you begin to charge up, and as you can see, there's like a reticle in the middle that shows like when it's about to be fully released. And at any time you can just, you know, like press the left mouse button to shoot it out early, or 1. But there is actually a little bit of delay before you can actually do it. Like I'm spam clicking right now, and as you can see, it does force me to wait a teeny tiny bit to actually launch out the thingy. Obviously to show what its damage looks like. 145 is nasty, and if I press it immediately, it's 58. 58 is still not bad damage, considering you can literally just attack. I feel like it should mention as well, when you are in the air, this ability will cause you to freeze in the air, which is quite useful for, you know, like aiming it precisely, or, you know, just being able to like do movement stuff. And it goes in any direction, like completely straight upwards, that way, downwards. Like you can do it on top of yourself for whatever reason that may be. Like, I don't know, someone's really up close and personal. I don't know. This ability does kind of suck up close and personal though, because, well, obviously you need to track where they're going to actually be able to hit them with the slash. So if they are literally up in your face and bouncing everywhere, you will literally just have to try and predict where they're going to go. That's at least, that's why, like, I say Yamato is, you know, a kind of a bruiser character, wants to be up close and personal, but it does obviously get way harder to aim Power Slash when you are as close as you are to some people. But then again, that might just be a skill issue on my part. I'm sure there is a Yamato player out there who absolutely obliterates everyone with Power Slash when they are literally rubbing themselves against them. But hey ho, that's not me. I am not the professional Yamato player. I am just pretty average at everyone. I'm jack of all trades, master of none, as they say. But anyways, Power Slash is literally her bread and butter. This will do all of her damage in a spirit build. Hell, it even does really good damage in a gun build, all things considered. I mean, obviously considering the fact that this is, you know, like an ability that doesn't scale with damage or gun damage in any way, shape or form. Still does decent damage. It's okay. Maybe not late game, but mid game, early game, this thing does good damage. And as I said, it's quite good poke. You can kind of scare people off by charging it up. And the range is very good, so in the laning phase, you can sometimes just kind of like launch it out and do like, you know, 80 damage to them. And remember, cooldown's only 10 seconds, which ain't bad. All things considering how much damage this thing can do, 10 seconds ain't bad. Anyways, on the first upgrade, you get an extra 60% bullet resist whilst charging the ability, which obviously allows you to kind of survive people shooting at you whilst you charge it. On the second upgrade, you reduce the ability's cooldown by 2 seconds and apply a 40% movement slow on hit for 3 seconds, bringing the cooldown to 8.5. And on the third upgrade, you increase the full charge damage by 185, bringing it to 330. And because the full charge damage is higher, so is the, you know, early activation ones. Funny enough, it only does it do 100? No, okay. it does actually rise up even before the full max charge. Interesting. But yeah, as I said, this is Yamato's kind of bread and butter in a spirit build. And just to show the movement slow from earlier, there you go. It's quite a potent movement slow actually, and it kind of allows you to, you know, keep up with enemies, do damage to them, etc, etc. As I said, again, bread and butter. This will do all of her damage in a spirit build. It's very, very, very hard hitting, especially once you start getting stuff like, I don't know, Mystic Burst, Tank Buster, like I've thrown out slashes onto like a tanky ass Abrams. I've just watched his health vanish. Like, it just instantly vanish. It's insane how much damage this ability can do. But anyways, moving on to her second ability is known as Flying Strike. It has a 20-meter range and a 21-second cooldown. You throw a grappling hook to reel yourself towards an enemy, damaging and slowing the target when you arrive. It does 65 damage at base, which scales with spirit. The move speed penalty is minus 30%, and the slow lasts for 2.5 seconds. Now to show what that looks like, you press 2, you pull out this weird little like grappling hook in your hand that just exists. If there is an enemy in the targeting range, you press the left mouse button, attach, and then fly towards them. Literally fly. This ability is very dumb. The tracking on this thing is so damn dumb. I throw this thing here. Look, I could be behind a corner, right? And they would just it's kind of hard to show outside of a normal game, right? But like, I throw this stuff. You can actually cancel it, funny enough, by jumping. So if you don't want to fly, they should mention that actually. I've only just figured out you can cancel this stupid thing. I really wish I knew that when I was playing this out yesterday. There's been so many times where I've flying striked and then quickly realized, oh damn, I made a bad mistake. Gotta get out of here. If only I knew that you could just jump and cancel this thing. So yeah, there you go. Now you know something that I didn't. You can jump to cancel it. Admittedly, it's kind of awkward to cancel because you kind of like, you kind of like fling yourself forward. No, if you just hold backwards and jump, you won't actually go anywhere. But sometimes it's a bit finicky. But yeah, this ability is, as you can probably imagine, your initiation tool. It will kind of, once you attach this thing to someone, you will not stop. You will go through every wall, every ceiling, every floor ever to imagine. You will get there and you will hit them. Nothing will stop you. No wall, no nothing. Which is both a positive and a negative. Because of course you can, obviously follow people and be able to track them down no matter what, but you can also get dragged into uncomfortable situations, as I just mentioned. Good thing I really wish I knew how to I really wish I knew that I could jump to cancel it. But yeah, this is an initiation tool. This is to get you up close and personal, which, as I said, Yamato does kind of want to be up close and personal. Because, as I said, her weapon is quite good up close and personal. Her 3, which I'll mention or go into detail in a moment, is obviously meant to be used up close and personal. Power Slash can be used up close and personal, but as I said, it's kind of a little bit more awkward to use. But yeah, this is your initiation tool. You get in, you do your little slash, maybe do a second slash, then you do Power Slash, shoot them a bit, etc, etc. Or maybe you're playing melee Yamato and you want to just get up close and start punching people, which this ability also helps you do. It's neat. It's a neat ability. I think it's pretty decent. I would admit, though, that its third upgrade really makes it useful, but speaking of upgrades, on the first upgrade, you increase the move speed penalty to minus 55%, which is pretty good. On the second upgrade, you increase the cast range by 20 meters, which, I mean, look how big that cast range is, man. Look, I can get someone from all the way... What the hell just happened there? Okay, that's a very good example of what I meant by this thing will take you to the ends of the earth. Can we do that again? Have him go around the corner? Like, where... Do you see what I mean? You will track people to the ends of the earth. Nothing is going to stop you. You will get to that person. Like, if I just target this guy here, right? Just go through the terrain. Just go through the building. Why not? Well, yeah, sure, Yamato. She can just go through buildings. Because why not? Why wouldn't she be able to go through buildings? It's stupid. Either way, third upgrade. You can grapple to ally heroes and you increase their weapon, or your weapon, their weapon, someone's weapon damage by 6 for 10 seconds. 6 weapon damage? That's like nothing. Am I stupid? That 6? That feels really low. I didn't... Okay. Either way, now you can target allies and cling yourself to them. For some reason, the grapple will kind of stop prematurely. You won't, like, actually reach your ally, which has screwed me over before. It obviously now allows you to, you know, like, escape, you know, bad situations. Like, oh, I'm fighting enemies here. Oh, no, the entire enemy team is coming. I'm running to my teammate. But, like, it cancels, like, almost... Like, it only goes 75% of the way for some reason. It's kind of weird. Either way, the... Whoa. That's way higher weapon damage. Wait a minute. Oh, no, it's not. No, I'm tripping. Wait, no. 25? Then I latch to this person. Why did I, like, double my damage? Am I tripping? 6 weapon damage suddenly... 6 damage per pellet? Maybe? I don't know why I'm doing that much damage. Hold on. I gotta test that again. Headshot, 45. Cling to an ally. 100... Whoa. Is it meant to be like... Whoa. Huh? I think that might meant to say 60? I no idea. That's way higher damage than I thought. Okay. No, ignore me. That actually might be quite potent. Just to do another test, actually. 50 on the explosion thingy. Then now, 56. Right, so it does actually add 6. So it adds 6 per pellet of your gun. Okay, so that's obviously going to make your primary fire way stronger. Okay, now I understand it now. Either way, as I said, this is a very good engage tool, because obviously you literally will fly through everything to get your enemy. But it also can, on its third upgrade, be used as a good disengage tool, because you can attach to an ally. And I think that lets you attach to minions? I'm not sure. No, it does actually have to be an ally hero. Can it attach to buildings? No. Yeah, it has to be. So if there's someone else with you, then you do have a disengage tool. Otherwise, you need to be careful. You need to be quite careful. But anyways, it's a decent ability. Allows you to engage, disengage, does decent-ish damage. Movement speed slow is good, because obviously it makes it easier to, say, hit your power slash or just do more damage in general. But with all of that said, the third ability is known as Crimson Slash. It has a 13 meter radius, a 11.5 second cooldown, and you slash enemies in front of you, dealing damage to them and slowing their fire rate. If any enemy heroes are hit, you will heal. It does 55 damage at base, which scales with spirit. The heal on hero hit is 55, which also scales with spirit. And the fire rate penalty is minus 20%, and that lasts for 4 seconds. This ability is pretty damn simple to use. You just press 3 and create like this cone in front of you where you slash, and anyone in the cone will get damaged, and pardon me, I had to burp again, will have their fire rate slowed, which this is surprisingly good for farming purposes, because as I'm sure many of you know, these minions shoot little projectile thingy-majigs at you, and if you slash them and reduce their fire rate, they shoot less of them, which is why something like, I don't think it's in this build. 1 second, where is it? Suppressor? Where are you? That one. Suppressor is quite a good farming tool, because any spirit damage you deal also reduces fire rate, which then makes it harder for those weird little minion camps to kill you, which then makes it easier to farm. You lose less health when farming. So yeah, this ability can be quite useful for farming, and it's obviously incredibly useful if followed up after your 2, because you can fly in, then slash, which, I mean, that's 120 damage, kind of just for free? Really? I've just realized whenever I grapple to someone, you get the weapon damage. Oh, okay, you get the extra weapon damage even if you grapple to an enemy. Didn't know that. But yeah, speaking still of slash, it's useful. You kind of just want to throw this out whenever you can. Obviously, the hero heal is very nice, and of course, the more enemies you hit with it, the more healing you'll get. So if you hit like 3, actually, let me just half my health. It's not bad. And if there is, multiple enemies. Oh, I thought it gave you multiple heals. That's silly. I guess that's a preventer from being too tanky? I thought you got a heal for every single person you hit. Okay, it's kind of stupid. Now there's 2 Infernuses that are just kind of here. But yeah, this ability is, it's good. You just kind of slash out, deal the damage, get the heal, and then do more damage. I don't know. It's kind of just meant to be used to keep yourself sustained. The damage isn't crazy. The fire rate debuff is nice, obviously, for going against characters like, I don't know, Haze, Drifter, Infernus. Funny enough, that's the guy that we've been slashing. Yeah, it's a good ability. And as I said, follow it up with 2, maybe go like 2, 3, 1. That's usually how, I think that's the combo for Yamato. Like you just fly in, slash 1, and obviously try and charge it as much as you can instead of just shooting it out immediately. And then obviously after the grapple, you would have the extra bonus weapon damage, assuming you have that upgrade, meaning you can just throw out some shurikens and deal a bunch of damage. You get the idea. Anyways, on the first upgrade, you reduce the fire rate by an extra 30% or minus 30%, bringing the fire rate debuff to minus 50%. On the second upgrade, you heal for 6% of your max HP on hero hit, which I wish was kind of actually listed in the description, or like this little box here in front of you, but hey ho, now you are able to heal for 6% of your health on top of, yeah, it is on top of your heal on hero hit, I think. Maybe. I'm not actually sure how this scales. Either way, more healing, that's what it is. And as I said, Yamato does kind of want to be a little bit tanky, because obviously she wants to be up in people's faces all the time, and she can't be up in people's faces if she's dying. So yeah, building some tank items is, you know, usually quite useful. And on the third upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 5.75 seconds, bringing the cooldown to 5.75 seconds, which then now allows you to just throw this out more often and heal yourself more often, do damage and reduce fire rate more often. Just wins all around, really. But yeah, as I said, this is a good ability. Obviously allows you to keep yourself sustained in fights. It's obviously useful up close and personal, and can be followed up afterwards, or followed up from Flying Strike into Slash, into other Slash. Whole lot of slashes. But yeah, pretty good ability, and nothing super duper crazy, at least not in my opinion. But let's talk about something crazy. Let's talk about something really, really crazy. Shadow Transformation. I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about her lore, but this thing has a 1.5 second duration, or is it channel time? I'm not sure. I feel like it lasts longer than... Yeah, it's a 1.5 second channel time, an 110 second cooldown, and you become infused with Yamato's, as in her brother's, Shadow Soul. After an initial invincible transformation, your abilities are refreshed and are 60% faster. You gain immunity to negative status effects and have greatly increased bullet and spirit resist. When you get a hero kill, you heal and the duration is extended. It is a 5 second duration, your abilities are 60% faster, as it said. The max health on kill is 12%, so 12% of your health is coming back with every kill you get. You get 40% to both resistances, and the extra duration you get on kill is 2 seconds. This is a dumb ability. By the way, all of that on an 110 second cooldown. Quick reminder, Victor simply reviving himself, which I know is a big deal, is on an 190 second cooldown, which is very dumb. This is stupid. This is a stupid ability. You press 4, you charge up for a moment, and become this like red and black demon with an ohm. Is that an ohm symbol on you? I think that's an ohm symbol. And as it said, if I turn off cooldowns really quickly, and let's just use up all of my cooldowns. When you actually press 4, all of your cooldowns come back, and now your 3 is instant. You charge up your 1 instantly, and you are way faster when you're actually dashing towards someone. This is a insane ability, and again, invincible during transformation. You can just pop this ability to tank things. Like, I don't know, say Lash has jumped in and he's getting ready to slam, you transform. If you're transforming and you time it right, you will not be picked up, you will not be slammed, you will be invincible. And when you are in this form, you're immune to all negative status effects, even ones applied by ults. So, if Pocket jumps in and tries to use the frogs, you will not be affected. You cannot be grabbed by Mo and Krill. You cannot be stunned by Paige's ult. You cannot be swapped, I don't think, by Paradox. I mean, maybe you can, maybe you can. You can't be stunned by Viscous during his Gooble. Like, I think you're immune to Dynamo's black hole as well. Like, you are unstoppable. You're taking no damage. You are immune to every status effect in the book. You are doing way faster damage. And as it says, when you get a kill, the duration is increased. So say, for example, let's just get these Infernus bots like down to a, you know, Whoops, I didn't actually mean to kill him. I forgot how much damage that does. Whoopsies. Let's just do a bit of chip damage, chip away at him, right? Blah, blah, blah. Stab, 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 throw kunai. So I transform, shadow form's ticking down, kill them, and then it increases the duration, and you get the max health heal. Like, once you get kills, you start rolling the ball a little, then ooh, you're gonna be killing everybody. It's actually insane how strong shadow transformation can be. And quick reminder, of course, it can be affected by things like transcendent cooldown, so you can, you know, use it more often. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, you should be able to increase it with duration and yeah, you can increase how long you're in it anyways with duration extender. So obviously normally it'd be 5 seconds, and with duration extender it's 6.4 seconds, which, yeah, very silly. Yeah, very, very silly ability. Very, very dumb. Yamato's kit is already quite good, but obviously, as I feel like I should have mentioned, it does kind of suffer from being quite slow. Like, the slash, as I said, does a lot of damage, but that's only if you fully charge it. And as you can see, it takes quite a while. But if you're in the shadow transformation, it's damn near instant. You are literally throwing this thing out immediately. And it's just, that's a lot of damage, pretty much instantly. But yeah, this is a very dumb ability. This is kind of, I would argue, I know I said the power slash is Yamato's bread and butter, but honestly, maxing out this ult as soon as possible isn't a bad idea, because this ult just does so much, and it makes us so much stronger. Like, in a spirit build, usually how it would go is max out power slash, max out ult, because this is just dumb. And speaking of more things that are dumb, on the first upgrade, you get 15% fire rate whilst you're in shadow form, which, yeah, as if she needed more buffs. On the second upgrade, she gets an extra 4 meters per second move speed whilst in shadow form, again, if she needed more buffs. And on the third upgrade, you would increase the duration by 3 seconds, bringing it to 8 seconds, and you get an extra 20% to both resistances, bringing it up to 60% bullet resist and 60% spirit resist, as if she needed more buffs. So now you're in this form for longer, you are now even harder to kill, you're even faster, you get increased fire rate for those that want to do gun builds. Like, what? This ability does it all. It actually does it all. It makes your kit stronger, makes you harder to kill, makes you faster, gives you sustain by killing people. Like, what more could you want? This ability is insane. It's literally like the extra move speed isn't negligible either. Look how fast I am. And look how long, 8 seconds is a long time, man. Like, look at did you see the travel distance difference from when I was coming out of shadow form and when I was in it? It's a stupid ability. And of course, it obviously makes the rest of her kit even stronger. And at least in my experience, this is obviously the preferred build for me. I enjoy the tanky spirit build. This ability, Divine Kevlar, strong on her. Really damn strong. Upon casting an ultimate ability, gain a barrier and temporary spirit power. You get an 1,000 barrier and an extra 35 spirit power during your ultimate. Which, of course, with that ability, on top of all of the, like, it's just more buffs. It's just more buffs. Because now you are fast as shit, tanky as shit, extra fire rate, extra damage because your abilities are coming out faster, healing on kill, and with Divine Kevlar, you're, what do you have? Oh, and 1,000 barrier. So you're even tankier. And you're getting extra spirit power, so you're going to do even more damage. Stupid. Very dumb. Very, very, very dumb, actually. Yeah, Yamato can be really, really damn scary when in her ult. And otherwise, I don't know if she's super strong. I gotta admit, at least in my experience, I haven't really seen too much success with her. Like, yesterday I won 2 out of the 5 games I played. That could have been obviously a skill issue on my part. Pardon me, but that is besides the point. It could be a skill issue on my part, but I don't know, it feels like there's something missing. I think it's mostly got to do with the 2. Like, the flying strike has usually got me killed more times than, like, actually gotten me a kill. Like, I don't know, I think it might just be a skill issue. I'll try and describe some encounters I had, but yeah, I just think it might be a skill issue. I think I just need to get better at Yamato. The thing is, if you miss that power slash, man, you are screwed. Like, if you miss power slash, you might as well just die. I'm gonna be real with you. You might as well just die. Or if you're doing a spirit build, like gun build, you don't have to worry about that. But you're doing spirit build and you miss the power slash, yeah, it's over. you're just not going to be able to get the kill. That's at least how I've had experiences with it. But yeah, I do think Yamato is very fun. I do enjoy playing as her. The only issue is I just don't know how strong she is. I can't really gauge it because I seem to be quite bad as her. But anyways, with all of her gameplay discussed and done and dusted, let's talk about the title of the video. Why do I call her a relic of the past? Well, that's because of her design. Now, this design, I'm not joking, a few times I've mentioned, you know, obviously like, oh, Neon Prime this, Neon Prime that. Like, for example, Viscous uses Kelvin's Neon Prime design as a base for the green goo design. Who else was in Neon Prime? Shiv is pretty damn identical to his Neon Prime design, with the differences of having a wooden arm and a slightly different face and slightly brighter, lighter skin. Who else is it? Kelvin. It's 1-to-1 facially with his Neon Prime design, but he's got a different outfit. But notice what I said. Different. There's something different. Bebop is actually a really good example for these comparisons. Yamato is a 1-to-1 of how she looked in Neon Prime. The only difference, and I mean it, I'll show it up on screen, the only difference is the color scheme. And here's a fun fact. Back when Deadlock used to have 4 lanes and was a bit older, Yamato had this exact color scheme as her icon up at the top here. She is actually ripped bar for bar, word for word from Neon Prime, besides the slightly different color scheme. She is a actual relic. This is a relic from the past. This is a relic of what Neon Prime was. And I know someone is probably going to point out, and as I mentioned, Bebop. Bebop's design is near 1-to-1 with how he looked in Neon Prime. But there's a difference. Neon Prime Bebop had a very bright color scheme. A very, very bright color scheme. And when it came to changing Bebop, they obviously changed his color scheme as well. But by giving him this more rustic, rustic brown red appearance, it actually makes Bebop fit. This design fits really nicely in Deadlock's world because he looks like a scrap golem. He looks like he's made out of rusted metal car parts. He fits well, even with the design or even with the movement from, you know, like the, what would you call it, like futuristic cyberpunky world to the 1950s noir design that we have now. Bebop's color scheme change completely changes how he's perceived as a character, and as a result, allows this design, which is almost 1-to-1 with Neon Prime, to actually work. The same cannot be said for Yamato. This color scheme change from like greens and blues to golds, reds and blues does not work. It really doesn't. This does not work in selling the idea that she has changed in any way, shape or form. She does not fit in Deadlock. She does not work in Deadlock. She is a standout, like she sticks out like a sore thumb amongst the roster. As an actual design, it is fine enough. It's very much work in progress, I have to admit. I mean, long sort of skirt, call it a skirt? Dress? Skirt? That comes down to the legs, which is with one leg exposed for some reason or another, which I'm sure. The armor, gold armor is kind of weird, I guess. The shoulder plates, it's all very futuristic looking. And as I mentioned, her original lore for Neon Prime was that she was an alien obsessed with Japanese culture. So this kind of like weird mishmash and like very clunky looking samurai armor kind of works because it looks like they couldn't find a full set and just had to kind of work with what they got. But that doesn't work for Deadlock. That doesn't fit at all. But there is hope. There is a lot of hope, actually, because per a leak, I don't know if it was a leak. I think they actually just showed these. We are actually getting a redesign for Yamato. Oh my god, she actually looks really damn good. There is like 4-5 concept art designs for her. I'll throw them all up on screen kind of in succession to let you see them as I talk about them. But like, some of these are insane. Some of these are amazing. I love the switch to like pants or trousers in every single one of the concept arts. I think trousers fit Yamato way more because as obviously part of her lore is that she's taken on her brother's name and is, for lack of a better word, masquerading as her brother. And if she was obviously masquerading as her brother, she wouldn't wear a skirt or a dress, would she? Because obviously, in Japan, 1950s, a man wouldn't wear a skirt. At least, obviously, outside of like robes and the such. So, the switch to pants, trousers per se, works a lot. And a lot of these designs have gone with a yokai idea, the idea that obviously she is this actual demon, and I really, really love that. Like, I can't remember, it's probably going to be the last one I show up. The nickname for that design is called Anisha, where she has like the nose ring and the sort of more, she has like the darker skin. That one really looks good. I don't know if it particularly fits as her being, you know, like a Japanese crime lord. Like, obviously, not to stereotype or whatever, not to say that, oh, you know, Japanese people can't have dark skin, but, well, look at all the other designs I just showed. They all had very, very pale skin, very, like, almost, like, deathly pale, which, you know, really works. It does fit Yamato, and I really love, like, a lot of the yokai inspirations, as I said, but the darker skin and the nose ring and the hair, just, wow, she looks really damn good in that. She looks really damn good. Like, I'm tugging on my collar, and I'm like, whoop, did it get hot in here or something? She looks good, and I really love, like, if we got any of these designs, besides probably like the fourth one I'll show. It's kind of hard to discuss which ones I'm showing when I haven't actually edited the video yet, but like the fourth one I'll show. I have to remember to show the fourth one. I'll probably show it again right now just to repeat or show which one I'm on about, but like, the fourth one's probably the one I feel the least good about. The rest of them I really like. I don't know about the fourth one. Something about it just doesn't really like sit with me correctly. It looks creepy, and I think that's quite good, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't really sit with me. The Anisha design is easily my favorite though. But yeah, like, thank God there is hope for Yamato. Like, this design is actually like the one thing really, really holding her back. I mean, it's the reason I titled the video A Relic of the Past, because this design is literally a relic of the past. I mean, she doesn't even have any animations. Like, as you've probably noticed, Yamato is still as a statue. She has not moved. She doesn't have any breathing animations. Like, if I say, I don't know, let's pull up someone like Dynamo, right? Spawn him in as a friendly. Like, you know, he's got like slight idle animations. He kind of bobs up and down a little bit. His head moves, his hands move, gun moves. Yamato is literally stiff as a statue. She is not moving. She's a weeping angel looking ass. So yeah, Yamato's design is literally the only thing holding her back, and I really, really can't wait for her to, you know, actually get her redesign. And fun fact for those eagle-eyed viewers, you probably noticed that Warden redesign I mentioned in the corner of one of those concept arts. So yeah, maybe in some time soon, we would get Warden and Yamato getting their redesigns at the same time. I would argue besides, it's weird that these like last 5 characters all kind of, well, ignoring Wraith, right? Wraith obviously has already gotten her remodel design, but like Viscous, Viper, Warden, Yamato, all of these 4 are like, the only thing holding them all back is their redesigns. They all need them. Honestly, this bottom row kind of like Shiv, Sinclair, Viscous, Viper, Warden, Yamato, they all need like a redesign of some kind or a model update. Kind of weird that all of like the less updated ones kind of fall into this lower half down here. I mean, I'd even argue like Mo and Krill need a model touch up a bit. But yeah, Yamato's design, do I even want to dignify this thing as Yamato's design right now? Like, this isn't really her, per se. This is a different character completely wearing her skin. So, it's kind of like the same situation as Viper, like, or no, Warden, yeah. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But thank God she's getting her redesign one day. Those concept arts look so damn pretty. They look so damn good. Like, the art direction for this game is insane. And with that all said, we are now at the end of the video. And as you probably can guess, this is it. This is the final character amongst the Deadlock roster that I had to cover. For those, if you're not bothered like about the channel or the future of it, you can disappear now. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. For those interested, after this video, I am planning to do a full ranking of every single character in Deadlock back to back to back. So all 32 characters ranked from worst to best in an order, or in order of how I feel about them. So obviously, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Discuss every character in Deadlock from worst to best in whatever order, and I'll rate them on the same criteria that I've talked about them in these videos. So I'll discuss their look, or I'll mention because there's no point in me going like in depth in that ranking video because, well, all of these videos exist. If you want to know about my in-depth thoughts on characters, you can obviously go watch these videos. But in the ranking, I'll obviously judge them by their lore, their gameplay, and their design, as well as obviously their personality and the such. And all of it would be incredibly biased. It would be my own personal list, etc., etc. But after that, I am going to open a poll on the same day as that ranking video, which hopefully should be tomorrow, for you lot to all vote for what you want to see next. The ideas I have in mind are going to be the same things that people were up to vote for from the previous, because I've already done a poll before. I finished my Dead by Daylight videos and I did a poll for what people want to see, and the options were League of Legends, Overwatch, and Deadlock. Deadlock won, now here we are. So, again, I will include League of Legends, Overwatch, but I'll also include a section where, like, called Other, where in the comments of that post, you can obviously comment what you might want to see. And I'll discuss it a little bit more, obviously, in tomorrow's video, because I'll show off the poll and such. But yeah, you'll be able to decide whatever content you want to see next, and the format would probably be damn near identical to this. But after tomorrow's ranking video, I'll probably take a break, and I want to make a video on Hades 2, which I recently... I know it's a roguelike, so you can't technically finish it, but I technically finished it, and I have a lot of thoughts that I wish to share on it. So yeah, look forward to that. Well, obviously I'll say that again in tomorrow's video. I'm kind of just saying all this for those that want to stick around and enjoy my channel and are worried about where I'm going after this. I know one particular commenter, they know who they are, is worried about obviously the series ending, and I want to obviously give a little bit of reassurance on what may be coming next. Who knows? Maybe if people vote for it, people might see what they want to see. I don't know. Anyways, it's the end of the video, obviously. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether it be good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And I shall see you tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe you'll see whether or not I do the video tomorrow for my ranking video.